Good morning out there, everybody. How are we doing today? This is Matt, the Fancy Life, coming at you from Pennsylvania. You will notice that the background looks very different, the lighting looks very different, my microphone sounds very different, and this entire stream is going to be set up differently. I'm only using one monitor now instead of my normal two. I have a different webcam, a different microphone, a different everything, lighting system, and all the rest. So you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit as I have to alt-tab through things because I only have one screen to look at. As such, I actually have the live feed of my stream running on my iPad sitting right next to me down here this way. So I will be constantly looking like this throughout the stream to actually be able to watch what it is that you guys are saying and contributing so that I can respond accordingly while we go over Thursday's Q&A session. What a crazy Q&A session that was. First off, I would like to commend everybody for actually staying on point for the majority of the Q&A session. Usually these things last about 15 minutes with useful information, and then it's about 45 minutes of people saying when is Sicko and Kelvin's wedding going to be, and asking questions that are just completely and 100% off topic. But in this case, there was a lot of information that everybody wanted to know. As you can see, I have pulled it up on my computer for you today. What I have in front of you, I went through the entire Q&A session in the Discord and screenshotted out every single answer that a dev gave to every single question that was asked. I then went through those and deleted all of the repeat questions and set them up into a couple of categories. People ask questions about raids, people ask questions about space, people ask questions about events, and then there was a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff that people ask questions about. So we're actually going to launch into it. We're going to go through all the devs' answers that they gave throughout this Q&A session. What do we think about them? Do they actually pose more questions than they answer? And ask you guys how you feel about it. So let me go in and see who's logged in today. Jester, Cosmic, Tio, EMZ. Hello, everybody. Alter. Woof. Alter. Cosmic got a lot of stuff to say already. Hold on. I wonder if Kelsey will pop in. Cosmic, if we're lucky, Kelsey will pop in and say hello. She's the cutest thing we have to look at, so it's always nice when she says hi. Oh no! She did it! I don't know if you could see that. Oh, there she is. Yeah, there she is. She barely showed up on the screen. But she did. Matt's dreams have come true. The Q&A was very on topic. Yes, yes indeed. Cosmic, you did behave yourself. I think I noticed one question of yours that got posted in all caps and they called you out and said, please don't post in all caps. That I appreciated. Axel, hello, sir. How you doing? Okay. So, let's go through everything, starting at the beginning. There's a lot. There's a lot. So, it's entirely possible, depending on your questions and comments, that the whole stream could actually just be a rehash of this Q&A session, but we will see if we actually have time to get into the game itself after this. So without further ado, let us begin with Space Ace. So ABOX started off the entire Q&A session with an announcement about what the Q&A session was going to cover, mostly about the upcoming space update. Let us know what you want to know on it, what's coming next. Here's a quick introduction to the rework. Let's go. So first they mentioned that space is a sort of Swiss Army knife, a plug and play grouping, if you will, of characters. It's entirely possible, this means, that the space team will not necessarily synergize very well across itself. There are certain characters that will synergize well with other space characters, but don't expect your Spaceman Reed necessarily to synergize very well with Locust, for example. So what have they said? The core of space is about crowd control, shutting synergies down, and then each sub-tag acts as a plug-and-play specialty to overcome your foe. As a result, each sub-tag actually works well as plug-and-play in teams with the same purpose. Identify your enemy's strength, assemble the right space combination, and punish them. So they'll have the aliens, currently that's Gorwell and Locust, focusing on anti-taunt. So it sounds like Gorwell and Locust will be great for your anti-Scarlet teams. Blacktron Dwayne plus some new space minifigure, focusing on punishing foes with buffs. I assume what that means is punishing foes who have buffs rather than punishing foes by giving yourself buffs, right? Classic Space, Spaceman Reed, and another new space character, focusing on speed and pep manipulation. I have a feeling this is going to be very, very powerful. I have a feeling that this combination, Reed and whoever the other person is going to be one of the most seen space combinations we see plug and play into the game, because fast characters are awesome, and being able to remove pep from the other team or give yourself pep is awesome. Ice Planet, Commander Cold and Dr. Kelvin are going to focus on punishing off-turn actions. What exactly does this mean? That's the question. Punishing off-turn actions. So off-turn actions would be like when Scarlet taunts when it's not her turn, or when Redbeard counters when it's not his turn. That kind of stuff would be considered an off-turn action. I imagine that it will also have to do with their passive abilities being retooled. We'll see what that Dr. Kelvin rework looks like. And then the techie teams, Kartovsky and whoever this classic space techie character, space number 2 is, focusing on anti-stealth. So if you're having trouble with your ninjas, looks like you're going to be using Kartovsky and whoever the second spaceman is. Let me go to the comments. I see them scrolling very, very quickly. It's only day 1, Cosmic says, for Bricks footage. Yeah, it's an easy one. Basically auto battle the whole thing, so we'll see if we get to it. Have I heard of space cows? They're utterly out of this world. EMZ, I hope you're a dad. And if not, then file that away into your dad joke folder, because you're going to want to pull that out later. Let's see. Everybody else said he's gone yet. Off-turn actions mean bonus attacks, assists, and counters. There you go. Thank you, Cosmic. Off-turn actions, counters, and assists. Not enemy passives from what we have heard. Cosmic, what I meant was I wonder if Commander Cold and Dr. Kelvin are going to have their passives reworked in order to have some, like a static thing going for any time the opposing team does an off-turn action, or if they're going to have active skills that give your team buffs or the other team debuffs when they take an off-turn action. That's what I was getting at there. Clockwork Robot is unboxed event. Yes, we will be getting to that. Tio, we will be getting to that in the event section of this this walkthrough. Just to give you guys a brief heads up, this is how long all of the questions are that they decided to answer. So we have a fair amount to go through. Don't you worry. All right. So, is there a confirmed Dwayne rework? Yes. What they said was basically everyone in the space team, except for Spaceman Reed, is getting a sizable rework. A lot of news. How comprehensive are the reworks then for every character? Here you go. Every single space character with the exception of Spaceman Reed. Some of them are big, some of them are small. I would imagine that Kelvin's is going to be rather large. Blacktron Dwayne, I would also imagine rather large. Locust, probably on the smaller side. Commander Cold, probably on the smaller side, right? So we'll see what happens with all of that, but that should be coming out early next week, actually. There's going to be one new space hero added with the space update, and another one coming in the near future. You might be able to see him in the heroes list when this update is released. So everybody who's curious which 2 space characters it's going to be, they will be in the heroes list, despite the fact that you won't have them yet. Are they going to be unboxed or brick paste? A little bit of both. This actually probably should have been in a category a little bit further down. But it's nice that they are going to continue to mix up the way they are releasing these characters. Unboxed is, of course, very nice for brand new players. Brick pace, very nice for players who have a much more robust base of their own, so that they can proceed further into that event and perhaps unlock a character at a higher star level. Seeing Gorwell as the only space healer, is she going to become more available, or will there be another space healer? And the response was simply a picture of Kelvin. So I know a lot of you have been asking about space healing and the fact that Gorwell is, well, relatively unavailable. That actually comes up many times throughout the Q&A session, but here you go, the answer from WAF. Waif? WAF? I'm going to say Waif, because I think it sounds more like a word I actually know. Waif says Kelvin is going to be a space healer. Combine that with the plug-and-play intent of the space team. I'll be interested to see if Kelvin doesn't start appearing on a lot of teams, or at the very least become very, very useful in PvE. That should be very nice. WAF. Cosmic says WAF. Okay, we will go with WAF then. Abox says, the question is, how many new space characters in total? Just the 2. The answer is reaffirmation. There were going to be 2 new space characters with reworks of the existing ones. The space update also brings a new collectible hero who is a good plug and play with space as well. There were a lot of questions that were then asked around this last statement, whether or not that new collectible hero is also going to be a space hero. And what they said, and I've cut it out from here, what they said was, no, the new character is going to be a collectible character without the space tag, but will plug into space very well. So I don't know that anybody was really clamoring for new collectible characters, but then again, I have a feeling everybody will appreciate them. Everyone likes the collectible characters. Currently, the collectible characters are very plug and play, if you will, for a lot of people who have one open spot on their team. Particularly the Highwayman is a big time plug and play because he does so much damage and he's so fast. So this new collectible person coming out, be interested to see who it is, what this person does. Cosmic. Wow! Like you're screaming. Alright. Wow. Oy, oy, oy. Will the existing space sets get some love, or perhaps new ones be added? They're adding a new space set. I think this is interesting, considering there's already like 3 space sets that nobody is using. So it's fascinating to me that there is a new space set already coming in with the space update. I would have rather seen them make the existing space ones more useful or more achievable, rather than just adding in yet another set. But I suppose it's not a bad thing that they're adding in another set, right? Will there be brand new space-related brick pace? Yes. This is where you'll be able to get the second Blacktron character and the Alpha Centauri outpost, which is obviously going to be the new space outpost, apparently for Blacktron, I suppose. And some Blacktron 1 tiles too. I'm assuming that Blacktron 1 is Blacktron Dwayne, and Blacktron 2 is whoever this new Blacktron character is going to be. I'm very excited to see that. I've actually always really liked Blacktron Dwayne's kit. It just has some minor problems to it, given that Blacktron Dane is a little bit too slow, and it relies a little bit on synergy that it feels like should come from the space team, but doesn't. So we'll see what happens with that. But you're going to get another Brick Pace event with Blacktron 2 and the Alpha Centauri set. Now this also led to questions about whether or not future Brick Paces are going to follow this model of having multiple characters, and how in general the community has hated this. We disliked it with the Imperial event, and then a lot of people disliked it with the Ghostbusters event as well. Honestly, for different reasons. Right? They made the Ghostbusters event easy enough that everybody could basically get through it, but then limited enough that you couldn't really get any of the characters you really wanted to. So they made it easier, which was a good change from the Imperial event, where Governor Tierney was locked behind this wall of having to get Lee Tierney first. So they removed that. That was great. But then everything was just way too spread out, and you had to spend too many of your resources trying to get too many different people unless you wanted to focus. If you wanted to focus, you couldn't get the whole team. If you wanted to get the whole team, then you couldn't get any one person. So people are not too pleased with this multi-character brick pace setup, and a lot of questions were asked about that. They did have some answers to make that we will get to later in the Q&A recap. They need the new set for the master event, maybe. Axel, possibly. We'll get to that in a little bit. The new collectible is Clockwork Robot. Brick Pace is Dwayne for Chapter 1, Quincy for Chapter 2, Alpha Centauri set for Chapter 3. Cosmic, I believe you are correct about all of that in my estimation. They have mentioned that the Clockwork Robot is going to be more available. A lot of this has to do with whether or not they're releasing things in brick pace or raids or all this other kind of stuff. But as you will see, there are more questions to get to, and all this stuff is sort of kind of answered later. And for the triple brick pace, not very happy they're doing another multi-chapter brick pace. Yeah, they failed twice now, and Cosmic does not have very high hopes for the multi-chapter brick pace. I basically agree with you. I think that the only way that a multi-chapter brick pace really works, given their current setup, is if they were to give you two different brick pace currencies. So it would be essentially running two different brick paces concurrently rather than one that has 3 chapters. I think that the other way that they could fix it is if they had 3 chapters, but the first one gave you, say, Blacktron Dwayne tiles, and the second one gave you Blacktron Dwayne and Quincy, and then the third one gave you Blacktron Dwayne, Quincy, and Alpha Centauri, right? So new players can get Blacktron, intermediate players can get Blacktron and Quincy, and advanced players can maybe get all 3 of them. I think that that would be a suggestion, maybe, to throw their way. See if that works. Obviously, it would require a lot of tuning to make sure that it was balanced well, but it's just an idea. Excuse me. I also heard that non-such is coming. Jester, you heard correctly. That is a little bit later down. Jester Gogo is always the one who asks for patch notes. It's true, but they did also say that they are going to be sending them out. So don't worry, we will be getting those pretty soon. Okay, where were we? Will the existing space sets get some love? Or perhaps new ones will be added? There's a new set. Will there be a brand new space-related brick pace? Yes. Does the new space character have an ultimate? The future incoming space hero will have an ultimate, they have said. Now, they did also basically announce that the new Blacktron character is going to be Blacktron Quincy. So, T.O., you can be nice and excited about that one. And he will have an ultimate. Amazing. Will Dr. Kelvin be getting an ultimate? No. They answer these questions very succinctly, very to the point. So we wanted to know, there's the answer. Which of the new space minifigures is slated to be released first? Quincy. We combine this with the information above. Will the new space character have an ultimate? The answer is yes. Who is the new space character? The answer is Quincy. Ergo, Quincy has an ultimate. So, does the Swiss Army knife approach confirm that some factions don't necessarily get healers? And their answer is yes. If every faction could heal, half of the space team would just be healers. Now, the really important thing I think from this answer is that they have acknowledged that not all factions are created equal. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the factions are designed to be more or less powerful than others, but that their focus might dictate that maybe there's a faction that comes out that doesn't have a taunter or a tank. Maybe there will be a faction coming out that doesn't have healers, or a faction coming out that doesn't have support or attack characters, or something along those lines. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do with this in the future. I think it's an interesting play, and it will force people to do a bit more theory crafting, because it's going to be very hard to run a team without a healer on it. So if you're running a faction that doesn't have a healer in it, you're going to have to grab a healer from somewhere else, right? I think that this is a very, very interesting question with a very, very interesting answer as it pertains to the future of the game. What was next? When is Forbidden Island nerf happening? Redbeard is annoying me. I put this in space because of their answer. You're going to need some chill characters on your team to deal with all those extra attacks. Commander Cold, Dr. Kelvin. There's your chill heroes. Also Yeti technically, but he's not part of the space update, so I'm ignoring him. But what is this saying? This says that Dr. Kelvin and Commander Cold might become something of an arena meta to shut down Redbeard. So be on the lookout for that. I'll be interested to see what that rework looks like. Quincy does not have an ult. Wait, Cosmic, then which new space character is getting the ultimate? Oh, I guess maybe it's if it's not the first one they release, but the second one that they release, the second new space character that they release will have the ultimate. The data mines show that Jen Slate, the raid reward figure, has the ultimate. Ah, there we go. All right, very, very cool. So, change what I said before. It looks like Blacktron Quincy will come out as a normal minifigure, and then our next raid reward will have the ultimate, because the first raid reward, I should say, looks like it's focusing on being a space-themed raid with a space-themed reward. Mars mission. The space update does not feature the Mars mission yet, but you'll be able to move another theme from the first column of your table. There's been lots of questions about Mars mission. This is basically just saying they're not going to have it in the game. Will all the space sub-themes have full team support? And here they reiterate what they've said before. Space is a bit more mix and match. Themes like Blacktron and Ice Planet are somewhat limited. Think of space more like a Swiss Army knife, etc., etc., etc. Oh, so this next question where this person just said he's colder. Basically, they said, what are the changes that are coming to Commander Cold? And they just answered that he's going to be getting a stronger direct synergy with Kelvin. So it looks like you're going to want to have the two of them together on your team, sort of how similar to the way that when you have part of a castle team, you're running Magisto and Jester Gogo and Dragon Master Barnabas. Right? It looks like any team that's going with Kelvin might also benefit from having Commander Cold and vice versa, which I think is kind of neat. And then considering that there are multiple space sub-things like the Ice Planet, Blacktron, Alien Justice, etc., how will each of them be supported, and any word on what their niches or playstyle will be. And here we'll just close up the space section of the Q&A recap with a reiteration of what each section is supposed to do. Blacktron, focusing on punishing buffs. So it seems like Blacktron will be great for fighting castle teams. Alien, some anti-taunt. Sounds like aliens are going to be great for facing down Scarlet. Ice Planet, focus on punishing foes that counter, assist, and bonus attack. So Commander Cold and Kelvin, great for your pirates. Classic Space, focusing on speed and pep. Sounds like Classic Space is going to be kind of good for everything. And Techies, focusing on anti-stealth. So get your techies ready to face down those ninjas. Now what do we have in here? What's up, GKM? How you doing? So before I begin with the raids, that is the recap of all of the relevant questions that people asked about space specifically during the Q&A. What did you think about it? Did I leave anything important out when I was going over the recap? And more importantly, probably, did I get anything wrong? You already corrected me about Jen Slate, which actually ties into the raids section of the recap, which we're getting up to now. So let me know as we go through this if there's anything I need to go back on and clarify or correct. So, raids. More questions asked about raids. People are very, very clearly more excited about the raids update than they are about the space update. Now, don't get me wrong, people are excited about the space update, but raids mean more content. And that's really what the people want. The people want to play the game more. They want to be able to theorycraft more. They want to be able to explore the world more, and they want to be able to interact with their guild members in a more important way. And raids will answer all of these. Will the raids be good? Hopefully. Only time will tell when they finally come out. But raids, so many questions asked. Let's see, what are you seeing here? Think about it. Jay, Zane, and Egon are great. Kartovsky Clockwork reworks, calling it now. Totally regret not farming Egon. Well, I'll have to see how that goes. There were a lot of questions asked about repeating brick pace events. And their answers were basically things we already knew, which were that the brick pace events are going to repeat. We just really don't know the speed at which they're going to repeat. A lot of people ask questions about having an event calendar, which they basically said they're gonna make, but they're not done with it yet because of some of the other things that they've been focusing on. So let's get into raids. To answer the connection between space and raids, the first raid is space themed. The story is about Gorwell taking over minifigures and attacking Piptown. So great! Here's our tie-in from space to raids. The first raid is space themed. Will there be an unlockable minifigure from the raids? The answer is yes. From the data mine, we assume that this character is going to be Jen Slate, that she will be the second new space character released, and she will have an ultimate. One minifigure already available but hard to get that will be more accessible with the raid. We know that this is Gorwell. And another minifigure, a keystone to space, will also be the exclusive reward to the raid. He's not playable yet in the space update, but you'll be able to see him already. That, I believe, is Jen Slate. Correct me if I am wrong. What do you think about Primo coming to town? GKM, we will get there. It is in the questions and answers recap. Alright. Will Gorwell be farmable? Raids will make Gorwell easier to get. See the question above. Did you, by chance, see my question about raid rewards? The first raid reward is a new space minifigure, Jen Slate, presumably. There's Kelsey, by the way, walking across the back of the screen, for those of you who are just excited about her. She's getting ready to teach her class, as she does right after I finish my stream. Now she's leaving again, waving. Bye! Alright. So then, Little Wooden Boy spent some time typing. People were asking questions furiously about raids at this point, and they actually had to make several comments for people to like, hold on a second, we're getting to it. And Little Wood Boy releases this. Here's what we have on raids so far. It's for the whole raid, Captain Obvious, duh. There will be multiple difficulty tiers, although we will probably launch with 1 or 2. I think that's kind of smart, like a normal and a heroic mode kind of deal. The theme is Gorwell invading Piptown with her minions. Got it. The structure is a 4-node fight that is not linear. I think one is locked behind another. There is a raid boss that is not a minifigure, a la the Rancor from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, not a collectible figure. And you'll get rewards based on your individual contribution. And then they said it's coming ASAP. So just to clarify this a little bit, the structure of the raid being a 4-node non-linear fight where one node is locked behind another. The thought I get in my head is that, let's say there are 4 nodes, and I know it's kind of bad to put up your hand right in front of your face on camera, but just so you can see them all. You have to complete this one before you complete this one. But once you have done that, then you can fight either one. And you've got to do these 2 in order to unlock this one. But once you've done that, you can fight any of the 3 you want to. And when you do that in order to unlock the 4th one, and once you've done that, you can fight any of the 4 nodes you want to. What they've said is that it's kind of a combination of the Star Wars Galaxy style Rancor fight and the Marvel Strike Force style web fight, where you can go in a bunch of different directions, but ultimately there is a big boss, and everybody will be getting individual rewards for their contribution to the raid. My guess is that there will also be a combination of guild rewards and raid rewards. So if your guild gets far enough, you get certain things, plus additional rewards per your individual contribution. That would be my guess. That's what seems to make the most sense. If you guys have different information, please let me know. I actually think it's a very interesting idea that combines a fair number of other things. I think that it has the potential to be really, really great, especially if one of the nodes is really easy and one of the nodes is really hard. That way, the people who are more beginner in your guild can still feel like they're contributing, while the people who are more advanced in your guild can still contribute in their own way without taking it away from the people who are a bit more beginner. Kelsey saying goodbye. Yeah, she did. You think that Roram is the raid boss? Maybe. They did mention Roram. They did mention that Roram is not planned to be a released character in the game, so it's entirely possible that he might be a raid boss instead. I think it's going to be a giant Gorwell alien or her ship. That honestly makes more sense to me. I think what makes more sense to me specifically is that you're fighting against like her UFO. They said that it was a minifigure that's not accessible, and they said it was only based on individual contribution, meaning that the final. They said the final boss was not a minifigure. Technically, Rorm isn't a minifigure. We will see when all of this comes out. I think it's very, very interesting to speculate on this, but ultimately it doesn't change the way we're going to play the game today, right? So, yeah, I know that that's what they said, right? That you'll get rewards based on your individual contribution. I have a feeling that they just left part out, because if it was only based on your individual contribution and not based on your guild working together, then making it a guild activity would be irrelevant. So I think that guild wide you need to get rewards for fighting as a guild, otherwise what would be the point, right? And then in addition to that, you get individual contribution. So this line, it says you'll get rewards based on your individual contribution. I have a feeling that the unwritten part that's missing here is in addition to guild-wide rewards. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think as long as the rewards are comprehensive enough, no one's going to really care. As long as they feel like they are getting enough reward for their effort to actually be moving forward, if that makes sense. Okay, so moving along with that, will there be any guild rewards on top? What we're building right now has the fight-based rewards for beating thresholds on each node and a reward at the end for beating the raid. So there you go to answer that question. How will we open the raid? A ticket system based on guild quests. Only time requirements. Will it always be open? It will be related to daily guild quests. Yes. I actually like this. I think it encourages people to contribute more to the guild daily quests. Obviously, those of you who are in a very active guild know that every time they run a guild quest for the day that is more easy to do, everybody gets more guild rewards. And I think that encouraging people to actually do these more will pretty much only have positive benefits, right? Causing people to interact a little bit more. Now we'll get down to this on some of the quality of life improvements and questions that people asked about, like adding chat functionality into the game, which they've basically said they're not going to do. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the guilds interact once the raids come out. You'll see a lot more Discord servers for active guilds and a lot more planning going on that way, just like people do for any other major game right now where there are raids to do, like World of Warcraft. Will raids have a shop or a loot pool? This is interesting to me. They've said there is no raid shop. If there's no raid shop, it means there's no raid currency, which means that the only rewards you get are direct rewards. So you'll be getting direct minifigure tiles or pieces of gear or gems or soft currency or whatever else it is. But it means that you will not be getting any stackable raid currency that you can then use to purchase things on your own. This could be very dangerous because it means they're going to have to keep a very, very tight view over what they give out as rewards, because they will have to always be relevant. Because as soon as you stop needing the raid rewards, if there's no raid shop where you can spend your raid currency on something else, it means that you have no reason to do the raid anymore. So I'll be very interested to see what happens with this. I'll bet they end up adding a raid currency and a raid shop, maybe with the second or third raid, unless they are committed to continually updating the rewards that raids give out in order to keep them relevant. There might be guild currency. Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, instead of giving out a specific raid currency, that doing the raids gives out guild currency. Yeah, GKM, I like that. And I think that makes total sense. If the reward is gold, then you'll always need to do it. That's very true. Good point about the raid shop. I wonder how that will go. Yeah, GKM, I think you're probably right. I think there's probably going to be a lot of guild currency tied into it, and then they're going to be expanding the guild store to have more stuff in it, which they've kind of alluded to anyway, but this would be a good opportunity for them to do it. Gameloft should hire me. Put in an application, dude. They're hiring all the time. They just hired a new designer who did the Poppy rework. Yes! Which we'll get to in a second. And the last question about raids, will content creators get early access to raids to provide feedback to make sure the update is well received? Answer there from WAF. Not sure yet, but great idea. Now, this actually makes sense, right? One of the points of the content creator program was theoretically to allow the content creators to give reviews on stuff, but it doesn't make sense for content creators to review things that have already been released if everybody can play them for free at the same time. So there have been a lot of questions about the content creator program. We will get to some of those further down, but suffice it to say that the content creator program will be announced shortly, and what the content creators get will be announced very shortly thereafter. I'm super pumped about the Poppy rework. We'll see how it goes. A bunch of people ask questions having to do with advancement. I sort of lumped them all here under like this level cap heading. Oh, I didn't realize how cut off this was on my screen. But you can see it doesn't just say vel cap, it says level cap. I don't know if you guys can see that full. If you're running a full 16:9 view of your window, you can probably see that it says level cap, but that's what that typing says. Raids when, something to spend gold on, level 60, gear 7 when. Level 60 and gear level 7 will be coming with this update. What that means is start stockpiling your gold, because it looks like level 60 and gear level 7 are going to be coming to us within the next 2 weeks. So be prepared for that. Is there going to be a campaign expansion with the gear and level upgrades? No. They will be upgrading the gear level 7 into current nodes. That's particularly interesting, because it means if you've already gold starred things, then you'll be able to farm gear level 7 relatively easily, although I have a feeling it'll still take a little while. Is gear level 7 farmable, or is it going to be from raids? They've said it's farmable. Excellent. Will we see more campaign nodes with the coming level 60 increase? No. Their focus right now is filling out the minifigure set and roster and getting events built. I think this is great. Do I think that the campaigns do need to have another map? Yeah, they should. But right now, the way that a campaign works is you only really do it once anyway, and then you just refarm it over and over and over again. So yeah, they could increase it, they could add another map, but then you'd only have more content until you got to the end of that map, which would probably only take you like a week, and then you'd be out of content again. So I think it makes a lot more sense for them to be filling out their minifigure rosters and fixing and adding more events into the game. I like this. Will Gear 7 be different from Gear 6 in terms of stats and difficulty to get? Their answer, Gear 7 will definitely be more challenging to get than Gear level 6. I think that's great. Gear level 7 will definitely give players the edge stat-wise in PvP and provide more sustainability in other game modes like Brickspedition. I think this is an interesting one, because if you give somebody more health, then they're going to be more sustainable. If you give them more defense, they're going to be more sustainable. So it makes sense that if you increase their stats, they're going to be more sustainable. So I'm curious about this answer because it seems kind of obvious, right? The important thing here, Gear 7 will be more challenging to get than Gear level 6. Also a bit obvious, but I have a feeling what they mean is like significantly more challenging to get. So be on the lookout for that. When will the level cap be coming? Sometime in September. It looks like probably the first half of September. How much gold will it cost to get a character from level 50 to level 60? That's the $64,000 question, everybody. How much is it going to cost? It is so expensive to level up the characters. I think going from 6 stars to 7 stars is probably still the biggest single cost in the game. But to take a character from like 1 to 50 costs something like $1.5 million gold on its own. Going from 50 to 60, get ready, is going to be expensive. The increase to level gear will be very helpful because we could do other nodes from daily challenges. Yes, Jester, this is something that they actually hinted at in the answers that they gave during the Q&A, is that some of those final nodes on a lot of those events will finally be achievable. And I'm sure everybody's excited about that. The other interesting thing about this, the answer, how much gold will it cost to get a character from level 50 to level 60, is their answer to this. They have to check with their economy designer. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about computer programming and the like, but it requires a lot of people to create a game as robust as the Lego game is. Even a turn-based game where there are very few moving parts happening all at once, there are a lot of people that go into it. And I think what's interesting here is that they've announced to us that they have a person whose singular job is just to control the scale of the economy in the game. This would include things like how much money it costs for you to upgrade characters, how many gems you get for essentially free on a daily basis, how all of the different stores are monetized, how much currency you should be getting to spend in those stores. I would imagine this person also has to say on what is available in those stores to some extent, how much energy you get, how quickly you get it, how much energy is required by different nodes. They do have a person, it seems, whose job is singularly to handle this. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because we now know that they have a person who does this. So, anytime you are concerned that there's not enough energy one place or too much energy another place, or the rewards are not good enough this way, or they're too powerful that way, you can call out their economy designer. Don't just shout at ABox anymore. Say, hey ABox, I have a question for your economy designer now that I know for a fact that that person exists. Right? So the good thing about this is we can tailor our questions to the appropriate person to get the appropriate response. We still don't have direct access to this person, but we can make it very clear, like when you call in a support hotline because something in your house stopped working, and the first person who answers your phone is more of a generalist, and you say, let me speak to your manager, that's what we're doing here. Hey, I have a question for your economy designer. See what he says about that. Level 1 to 50 is 770k. Okay, great. So a little under a million. The economy designer needs to be fired. We need more gold. That's what they should hire you for? To worry about the economy? Yeah, I have a feeling that it's somebody who really studies numbers pretty hard and is pretty excited about it. I think the economy designer, hopefully it's actually more than one person, hopefully it's a team of people, because one person trying to balance all of those things, you could see why a lot of them are out of whack, right? Because it's very, very hard to focus on a lot of them. It's very easy for us to say X is too expensive or X is too cheap. X is too expensive or Y is too cheap. But at the same time, that person has to singularly keep track of, well, but if I change this, then how's it going to change everything else? It's nice to know that person exists, but I hope they get some help from somewhere. With Gear 7, level 60, are we expecting to have an increase in set stars? Are we also expecting an increase in skill level from 5 to 6? And they have said, not yet for sets and abilities, but they're thinking about it for the future. They don't want to unlock everything at once. Let players have some room to progress. An interesting thing here. So it looks like we are going to have only one new thing to focus on. Well, two new things to focus on with the update in level and gear. Getting the gear, equipping the gear, leveling up your characters, right? It's basically all going to be gold crunch that you're worried about. New set abilities, getting more set building tools and ability mats. Looks like we won't really have to worry about that right now, but we might have to worry about it in the future. Marketing and economy design. GKM, submit your application, dude. Let them know. Get in there and help them make some decisions. Okay, when the level cap is increased, Can we have a serious overhaul to the amount of gold earned from Brickspedition? The current amount is about 700,000 per week. Not really enough. This was from Cosmic. And the answer was, please don't write in all caps, which I think is hilarious that they called you out for that. Overall, as the cap increases, more sources of, and SC stands for soft currency, will be added as well. I don't think that the brick soft currency is changing in this update. So you'll still be getting about 700,000 currency from Brickspedition in a given week, but they have announced that there will be more ways to get soft currency. So if the new events are going to basically be raids, then we can, as I think it was GKM suggested earlier, expect that raids will also be providing a gold reward in addition to tiles and gear and whatever else they decide to put on there. Okay, and now we get on to events. People had a lot of questions about events per their take on the Ghostbusters and all the brick paces, the unboxed events. People want to know, listen, am I going to have to plan to be a whale just to play this game? Or are you going to be fixing stuff? So the first question, and I think it's amazing that someone asked this, and even more amazing that they answered. How well did the Ghostbusters event do versus your expectations? And they said, we like to see the rush of new players, great, but we'd like it to be higher. Now, in business terms, what this means is they failed to meet their goal. That we'd like it to be higher means that it was below their expectations. That's what that means in business terms. So they did see new players from the Ghostbusters event, but not as many as they were expecting. It was a unique opportunity to try the takeover format. There were some good things and some we want to improve. For now, what's cool is that it made us decide to be more transparent with the events and TLQ. I think that the push for more transparency is awesome. I'm sad that it took them this event to figure out that they needed to be more transparent, considering that the community's been shouting at them about that for a long time. It's given them a bigger push to get a calendar out to anticipate what's coming and have events rotate more often so that they're faster to unlock for everyone. All of this is excellent news per the community's asks from before, right? I have made the comment numerous times that the Ghostbusters are really cool. I love the Ghostbusters. I love the Ghostbusters movie. I love the Ghostbusters intellectual property, but I don't need Ghostbusters in my Lego game. I don't need Marvel in the Lego game. I don't need Star Wars in the Lego game. There are so many actual Legos from like the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s without all this crazy intellectual property having to come in, that I think it's weird that they come up with like honestly, Ghostbusters is a completely random IP for them to focus on, to put into the game and then expect it to have like this major impact on people coming into the game. No. The rush of new players you saw was because all of a sudden in the App Store, there was an announcement that there was a major update to the Lego game. That's why you saw a rush of new players. The update could have been just about anything. And if you had done the space update first, or put in Aquanauts or Lego Technic or anything else, you still would have had a rush of new players. I think it had very little, if anything, to do with the specific Ghostbusters intellectual property. Now that was very opinionated, so let me go to your responses about that and see what we're going to be saying here. Are you going to play Bionicle Heroes for the DS? Tio, probably not actually. Should have realized that after the Imperial event. Preach. Thanks, GKM. Yeah, so let's focus on the really positive parts about this. That they did actually notice that the numbers were not as high as they wanted to. That, in this case, is actually pretty good because the community has been shouting suggestions at them for a long time that they have been, honestly, hearing but not listening to. You know what I mean? The difference between hearing and listening is when there's noise going on around you and you can hear it, great, you can hear it. But listening implies a focus. Not only do I hear you, but I'm comprehending what it is that I'm hearing. And that's the part that they've been lacking. And so now, with the numbers of this release, of this Ghostbusters event having been poorer than they wanted, they're forced to say, oh, well, wait a minute. Maybe we should focus on what the community wants a little bit more. I think my hope is that this has very positive responses. This will go negative if they go, oh, well, we only are going to focus on the community members that are spending money. That will lead to ruin. But if in general they listen to the community more and everyone in the community more, I think that'll be great. So, more transparency, planning for a calendar, having events rotate more often, all good news. To be honest, the IP craze is not great. They should focus pure Lego. Cosmic, yeah, I agree with you, right? Ghostbusters are rarely seen. They don't fit anywhere. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Cosmic is that they're using these intellectual properties as marketing ploys, and I think that they're missing. I think they're missing the point, and I think that they're missing out on what their audience is actually really looking for. And they do want another IP before the end of the year. Yes, they were 100% transparent about that, and that's a comment in here later. Are they going to change the bricks tile rewards? At least the bricks shop should move. We still want to work on the difficulty, the rewards, and the diversity of teams you face once the raid craze is behind us. So, Space is going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. Raids will not be coming out for at least a couple of weeks after that, which means do not expect any Brickspedition changes for at least a month, possibly closer to 2, I would say. I imagine Brickspedition changes will not come out before Thanksgiving, if I'm being completely honest. And I know that's like way down the road. That's like literally 3 months from now, but I have a feeling that's what's coming up. Now, the positive notes in here are they're going to work on the difficulty, the rewards, and the diversity of the teams you face, which are the 3 things that the community has been hammering on, right? That's what everybody has been talking about. The difficulty ramp is a big problem. The ninjas at the end are a nightmare. The rewards are lackluster and always the same. And the teams you face in Brickspedition are always the same. These are the 3 things the community comments on over and over and over again. So the fact that they have called them out specifically as the things they want to work on for Brickspedition is amazing news. They need to focus on creating their own niche. So much pure Lego content. Okay, rant complete. Dude, rant all you want. I can see it like in the corner of my eye. I can see like the comments on my stream going like this, you know, so it's a little bit hard to track, but do it as much as you want. Will you continue to trend of multiple characters and sets in BrickPace events? I assume the space set will be available in BrickPace. Yes, the next BrickPace has 2 characters and a set. It's going to be, it looks like it's going to be Blacktron Dwayne, Blacktron Quincy, and the set whose name escapes me because it's going to be brand new. So space is needed for the new master event. Will the old space heroes be enough, or will some of the new ones be mandatory? This is good news. There's only 2 new heroes, meaning that you already have 5 space heroes available, and they will be usable for the master event. So you will not be forced to farm new space heroes just for the master event. Whether or not you'll be able to do it without them is a different story, but technically you won't need them. Great. Why would you release a BrickPace adding so many heroes or sets in one event? This goes back to our multi-chapter thing. You're forcing us to not get anything done as free-to-play. Only whales will truly enjoy you releasing 3 new farms in a single event. And here's what WAF says, they aren't all new this time. I think that this is a fascinating change. Now, we've already mentioned this, that the first one is probably going to be Blacktron Dwayne, a character that's already farmable, but now also going to be farmable in BrickPace. Now, Blacktron Dwayne is available in the Monolith, which means he's incredibly easy to get. So we don't really need a BrickPace event for Blacktron Dwayne, if we're being completely honest. But as a new thing to try, this is very interesting. I think it's cool that they want to try to have this multi-chapter BrickPace event idea. And the fact that they keep changing it is good news. And that means that we're going to have to slog through a lot of mud, but hopefully we'll be able to have some nice clean feet on the end. I'm not really sure how you continue out that metaphor, to be honest with you. But the idea here that maybe they'll do brick paces with multiple chapters, but some of the chapters will focus characters that are already farmable in the game, maybe just a more difficult farm, right? So maybe when they release a new castle character, they'll put Jester Gogo in one of the brick pace chapters, right? Farmable, but not easily farmable, as he's only got one node in the game. Something along those lines. So there you have a multi-chapter brick pace event, but you actually would be comfortable skipping an entire chapter if you wanted to, because you actually don't need it. But if you're a new player hoping to get more characters more quickly, this might be a good idea. I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I think only experience will tell if this actually ends up being a good idea. I doubt they would suddenly make who free to play. Oh, right. Willa, give us access. The Master Event Award is a collectible figure, they did say. We are assuming that it's actually going to be the Clockwork Robot. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's what we were assuming, right? Is that the Clockwork Robot is going to be the next Master Event? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I thought. When are Wu and Jay coming back? We'll be When are Wu and Jay coming back? We will be rerunning them. That's how English works. In the next month or so. If you need to farm your pirates for Wu, do it now. You have about a month, apparently, before Wu comes back. Jay, Brick Pace coming back as well. They're finalizing that calendar now. Are the single character focused Brick Pace events dead? They're not dead. We're always trying to make tweaks to the Brick Pace events. There you go. They're just trying out new stuff until they get it right. Are there other minifigures you plan to add? Space is needed for the next Master Event, which is a new minifigure. Now, here, maybe it's not the Clockwork Robot because they've said a new minifigure. Considering that the Clockwork Robot is not accessible yet in the game, he might still count as a new minifigure, so we'll see. Oh, EMZ says, there you go. Clockwork Robot is going to be unboxed. The new master character is going to be a new character entirely. There you go. Is there going to be a Brickspedition rework? Most of them are not enjoying it. Adding some variety in the coming updates. We'll see the level and gear cap going up as we expect there to be more variety in the teams. We've mentioned this before. When will Jay come back? Everyone agrees that was the best brick pace. Soon. So they mentioned above that probably within a month or so. Any chance Basil will be farmable sometime soon? We plan to run the event more often. As we've said, we're going to be providing more visibility on our calendar. Here, the important answer is that they are focusing on releasing a calendar. When will that calendar come out? We have no idea. But the fact that they're getting to it, excellent. When does the free-to-play global launch get another shot at Wu? The Wu event will be back before Halloween. Great. So that's within a month, as they mentioned before. What was the intended player response for timed quests? What is being done to incentivize actually playing the game? This was a big concern for a lot of people. That the timed quests seem to have been designed to incentivize people to play the game, but they failed to accomplish that task. So, their response. The intended response was to supplement players with more rewards just by playing the game. In other words, incentivize you to play the game. There are some timed quests that also provide more access to minifigures, as we've seen. That's been pretty cool. We also have much more challenging timed quests intended for mid to late game that provide very nice tiles, more to come. So it looks like they might actually be listening to a little bit of the feedback that we've been giving about making some timed quests aimed at advanced players in order to give them more advanced things to do. How this will affect new players remains to be seen, but the important thing here is they're continuing to change up the way time quests work and continuing to experiment until they get it right. I think that's great. Would the new events be new player friendly, something like Brickspedition or like Ghostbusters event, which I couldn't do anything because I had just started the game? New players will be able to play the new events, but to beat or max out an event, you will require strong teams. I think that makes total sense. I think if you're new to the game, you should not expect to be able to complete everything. And if you could, then what would be the point of playing the game for very long? Having it so that there are some advanced rewards for advanced players, I think that makes sense. I think that only makes sense. Oh, and here you go. Clockwork Robot, they have announced the unboxed event is coming with this update. So, unboxed event for Clockwork Robot, basically what that means is this is going to be coming like next week. And here you go, Admiral Nonsuch, when is he coming? Their answer is very soon. Very soon is rather nebulous. Very soon, in the cosmic sense, might be 1 billion years from now. Very soon, in human sense, might be a month from now. Who knows? But he is on the radar, is basically what this means. And then, someone suggested that they have a bounty event or time quests. So, for example, they avoid Scarlet like the plague in the arena, but if there were a quest to defeat Scarlet a whole bunch of times, it would incentivize people to take on Scarlet teams. And they said this is a good idea, they're writing it down. I love this response. It implies that they know that they don't have all of the answers and that from time to time the community comes up with really great stuff. And when the community does come up with really great stuff, they'll make a note of it. I think that this whole idea, the whole bounty event thing, like this could be very, very cool. And if they see that there is too strong of a meta team in the arena, it might be interesting to say, looks like there are too many pirates in the arena. Why don't we release a time quest that gives people a reward if they manage to defeat 100 pirates over the course of the next 3 days? Then, instead of avoiding those pirate teams, you might tackle them on purpose. Be interesting to see if that could move other people around in the arena. Do you think Nonsuch could be a brick pace or master event? Master event. Probably brick pace, master. I think it really depends on what they decide to do, because they already have an Imperial brick pace event with Lee and with Lee and Governor Tierney. Valiant and LeQuay are already accessible. So the one thing that they're missing is an unboxed event or a master event. And Admiral Nonsuch, I think, would fit the category for a master event, but we'll have to see what they do. All right, we're almost through here, guys. Now we're getting into some of the more miscellaneous stuff. I put the next group of things under quality of life and bug fixes. That's what it says, even though it's cut off there on the left side of the screen. But let's get into this. A lot of this has to do with things that players want to see in the game that don't really affect necessarily your ability to play the game, but just make the game run more smoothly. So that's why they are called quality of life improvements and bug fixes. Let's see. I love how they do these Q&As. Shows that they're transparent criticism, want to improve the game. Yes, EMZ. It shows that they want to communicate with the community more, which is excellent. There has been a big complaint about their communication and more specifically about their transparency. One big thing about that we're about to get to in the quality of life and miscellaneous stuff that I have coming up. But the fact that they want to talk to people or answer questions for people is very, very nice. What's up, Theo? Could Nonsuch be released in this update? Jester Gogo, the answer is no. They have been very clear about what they are releasing in this update, and Admiral Nonsuch is not on that list. Do not expect to see Admiral Nonsuch within the next couple of months. Just wipe that off. Wipe that off your register. It's not going to happen. Guild improvements we are working on right now are leader and officer changes. Not getting more specific as we're trying to see what we can get done. Great. So giving your leaders and your officers in your guild the ability to, I guess, manage the guild more. Great. Add in leaderboards for guild dailies. This has actually been something people have been calling for a lot. It also will help guild leaders see who's not pulling their weight in their guild, right? If you've got a really active guild, not something you need to worry about. But a lot of people are in guilds that maybe aren't that active. It's hard to tell who's contributing and who's not if they're not in that top 3. Some fixes to the guild search. All right, whatever. Are there any PvP updates or additions coming in the pipeline? In the space update, there are two changes that they're doing to the payout. The first thing that they did is they are localizing the arena payout. I'm not sure what the second change is. But the goal, I think, of localizing the arena payout is to try to change the crunch around payout time. So if they localize it, for example, so that your arena pays out, so that the arena always pays out at, let's say, 6 p.m. your local time, it means that when you are crunching the arena is going to be different from when other people are crunching the arena, which allows the arena to move around a little bit more. If the arena payout happens like on a global calendar, where everybody's arena payout happens at, say, the equivalent of 6 p.m. New York time, it means that every single person on your entire arena shard is playing the arena at the same time. That means that there's going to be people you constantly cannot fight because they are in the middle of a battle and locked out from your ability to target them. It means that people can use different methods to sort of hold their place in the arena or get rid of people in the arena more effectively. And by localizing the arena payout, it just makes the arena more fluid. So I think that's a good thing. I don't know what the second change to the payout is going to be, though. If any of you guys know what that is, please let me know. Does anyone have the damage resist formula handy? They have said no. It's in their little Lego vault. This is a mistake, Gameloft. You really need to be transparent about this, especially that resist formula, especially since you have characters in the game whose entire purpose is to help other characters resist things. And we need to know how effective that is. Damage, great. You have a higher attack stat, you do more damage. You have a higher defense stat, you take less damage. We don't know the exact numbers on that, but okay, fine, it makes sense. But right now, things like grit are very poorly understood, and we don't actually see a difference between characters with high grit resisting more and characters with low grit resisting less, or characters with high skill applying their debuffs more, or characters with low skill applying their debuffs less, because the amount of randomization in there seems to be so extreme as to make it irrelevant. We really need to have this formula. Otherwise, there's going to be characters in your game that never get used because no one will ever be able to tell whether or not they're useful. So, this is a mistake. You need to release this information to everybody so that they actually know whether or not it works in a way that makes sense. I really want the resist formula. Damage would be nice too. There you go. Cosmic said so now you have to do it. To the uneducated player, equipping gear to characters in return for plus 12 grit seems pointless to overall awesomeness. Yes, Theo, that's exactly the point. So you have these characters like Minor Clay, like Iggy, who focus on giving additional grit to your team. Construction Worker Sal, a lot of the city characters basically, especially with that fire station that relies entirely on resist. So the fact that we don't know how resist works is like, okay, well basically you're telling us I guess I should just not use this set or any of these characters because you're refusing to tell me whether or not they're useful. That just seems like bananagrams. I'd love to see what it actually does. Oh, Kelsey's back. Someone else said, please fix Winston's taunt. It doesn't give Hardy 100% of the time when clearing 5 courage stacks, and they've said they're fixing it in the space update. Great. Someone said, can we get some quality of life improvements to the game? Specifically, I'd like to be able to cancel support abilities after selecting them. Currently, you just have to pick a minifigure and use it. I would love to be able to cancel it. It is on the list to fix, but it is low priority. I'm pretty sure all of you have probably encountered this at some point in time. Like, for example, you hit Cook Bart's heal and then realize, oh, you actually didn't want to do his heal, but too late, you have to use it now. The ability to cancel that ability would be really, really nice, and they have said, yeah, we get it, but it is low on their priority list. I think adding a cancel button should be something they could do in less than a single day in a hotfix that no one would even really notice. So it's weird that it's low on the priority list, considering it'd be so easy to implement, but at least it is on the list, right? And here we go, guild chat, or do we have to use Discord? To ballpark this answer, you will not get guild chat because Lego is very, very careful about children's exposure to content. I think that this is very, very good for them. The Lego brand is a clean brand, right? A family-oriented brand. So the fact that they are going to be cognizant of children being able to play the game is excellent. And because when you can't control what people say, you can't control when people are cursing or being racist or fat shaming or bullying or any of the other things that we now look down on and probably should have always looked down on. It's good that they want to save the kids from that in order to maintain the family-friendly nature of the game. However, they are also aware that it makes it difficult for people to communicate with the people they play the game with. So it looks like for the time being, Discord is going to be the way we go. It's probable that they will never incorporate guild chat specifically for this reason, but I will be interested to see what they do incorporate for guilds in order to help them communicate with one another. Speculation on where Scarlet and Hank will be farmable? Ooh, don't know yet, but we're going to get to that in a second too. Any thoughts on gear trading? It's on their backlog, keeps getting pushed for other stuff. So the idea that you have excess things that you can gift to other members of your guild, cool to have in the game. They know about it, not the highest priority. I think that's right. I don't think it should be super high priority. When the unboxed characters will be farmable in a node or a new store. I put this in here because of the answer. It took 2 or 3 months to get a character from their initial release into the general shop, then 2 or 3 months to get them into another game mode or a campaign battle. So there you go. There is your rough calendar for characters coming into the game that are exclusive becoming less exclusive. They release a character, and then about 3 months later, they go into the general shop. We can see that, for example, with Scarlet and Hank. In another 2 to 3 months after that, they will get moved to another shop or another campaign battle. Cool? Can you let the guild leaders check the entire guild contributions? That's something that they mentioned they want to do. Any chance that we'll get a timeline or schedule for time quests? Yes, they're going to be creating an event calendar. We don't know when we're getting that event calendar, but it is on the production line. What quality of life changes can we expect? Arena payout times localizing, mentioned that before. And will Scarlet be farmable? Yes, unboxed characters except for external IPs, so that would be like Ghostbusters. Will Waterfall into the game? Scarlet went into the general shop, then she'll soon move likely to another game mode shop, so the guild store or the arena store or something along those lines, right? And now we get to all of the random things. There are only 5 questions, comments left to go over. If there's anything that I have not touched upon yet or something that I glossed over that you want more information on, now is the time to type it into the chat so that I can see it and we can discuss it. After Space and Raids, will underwater be the next big thing? Kind of. So there was an interview done recently with one of the developers where they hinted at the Aquanauts coming into the game. I think that this is a direct answer there, so expect to see those characters in the game relatively soon. Again, Space in the next couple weeks, Raids in probably the next month after that. Then we're getting into Halloween. They're going to be releasing another special character. So underwater coming? Absolutely. My guess, not before Thanksgiving. Is there a new collaboration like Ghostbusters coming before the end of the year or in early next year? The answer is yes. I couldn't care less about this, to be honest with you. So, content creator program. Can we get an update? Is it officially happening with a space update? Yes, it is. The space update is rolling out next week. So, content creator program should also be rolling out next week. Be on the lookout for more information about that. And then, Poppy! Paramedic Poppy got a rework, and it is coming in the space update. Somebody asked a pretty relevant question, actually, which is, why did you decide to rework Poppy with the space update? Their answer, in case you missed it, was they hired a new designer. And they, as a sort of test, said, why don't you pick a character and redesign it so we can sort of see how your brain works? And he said, all right, well, I'm going to take Poppy and I'm going to rework Poppy then. And apparently, they liked his rework so much that they said, well, let's put it in the game then. Seems to work. So she's still going to heal, but now she'll use courage tokens. As you guys know, I have been farming that fire station set. I am very excited for this Poppy rework. I have Poppy up at 6 stars, almost ready to go to 7 stars. I really hope she's useful. I really hope they change her in a way that works well with Officer Primo. Oh, speaking of, there were a lot of questions asked about Primo coming into the game. I left them out of this Q&A recap because if you're playing the game, well, then when you log in, you'll see that Primo is coming in 1 week. The event is there in your event section of your game. So it really wasn't worth including in the recap because you can see it yourself. But make sure you have your castle characters ready to go. Let's see, I've got my Bernabas, my Magisto, my Verta, and my Headley at 5 stars. My Jester Gogo, I only need like 3 more tiles to get him to 5 stars. So I am poised and ready for this Primo event to unlock the officer, and then, folks, we can really see if the fire station has any power whatsoever, and if so, whether or not you should be farming it. So that's the Q&A recap for today. It is now 10:15 my time, which means I'm going to have to sign off without any actual gameplay for the day. I hope that this was all right with everybody. If you have suggestions for me doing Q&A recaps and all that kind of stuff, aside from the things I might already know, like I need to make sure that it fits on my screen a little bit better, then please let me know. And let me see what else everybody's asking about. Let's see. Speculation on when Scarlet and Hank will be farmable. It seems to me like the first thing they need to buff out is the guild store. Despite the fact that the currency is super slow in the guild store, that place is boring. So I have a feeling that'll be the first place they put characters. Scarlet in Arena and Hank in either guild bricks or hard nodes. That could be. Scarlet is such an arena meta character that putting her in the arena store actually makes sense. Hopefully in the MW though. Cosmic, what is MW? Waf said earlier, either directly after the QA or the next day, content creators should hear back from him. Yes, he did. Have you heard anything by tomorrow? He probably meant 3 weeks from now. Soon, yes. Poppy is learning to hiker. How do we? Yeah, learning. Yeah, I got you, Tio. Yeah, it seems like Poppy actually just might be the new hiker, so to speak. But we'll actually see when they actually do the release. Do you think we can unlock him with 4-star Primo? I'm so close to getting him. Jester, there is no such thing as 4-star Primo. In these master events, the masters seem to only unlock at 5 stars or higher. So you have to have at least 5 5-star castle heroes and 1 5-star castle set. Once you have that, you can complete the event nodes for the master event until you have completed the 5th one, which will give you enough tiles to unlock Primo at 5 stars right from the beginning. From there, if you have a 6-star castle team or a 7-star castle team, you can then proceed to get Primo at 6 stars or 7 stars. But 5 stars is the minimum, 5 stars is the cutoff is the barrier for entry, so to speak. MW is monolith waste. Oh, right. So keep this in mind, right? The monolith waste is, without a doubt, the easiest place to farm anything. Well, anything that's in the monolith waste, as it were. The nodes have a much lower barrier to entry, right? They require less energy per node, and you get 12 opportunities to do them rather than 6 like the hard nodes in the other campaign formats. The energy refreshes are more expensive, but I think if you compare that with everything else, the monolith is the easiest place to farm anything that is in the monolith waste. So bear in mind that anything they put there is something that they are planning on letting everyone get. I have a feeling that it will be rare that they put meta-breaking characters in Monolith Waste. It'll happen. I think it'll happen, but rare. So I would imagine if they put Scarlet in the Monolith Waste, that it would be because they either want more people to be able to compete at a high level in the arena, but that would be about it. I think putting Scarlet, for example, in the Monolith Waste would be a huge, huge mistake, because the more people that get her, the more pirates we're going to see in the arena for an even longer amount of time. And it's already like all pirates with variations. I mean, if you're a whale, there's a spooky team that does well in the arena. There are certain half ninja teams and like partly go busto teams that do pretty well in the arena, but pirates are what you're seeing there, right? So I think it's unlikely that we will see characters added to the Monolith Waste with any regularity. I think that the first thing we'll probably see is an increase in the set availability in the Monolith Waste, especially on that final map, like with the Space Explorer, the Space Shuttle that they have in there. And with the release of more space characters and another space set, I'll be interested to see what happens with a bunch of those nodes. Scarlet in Arena Shop is better. Yeah, I think that's better. Well, all right, folks. Let's see. Today is Saturday, so I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a more usual sort of playthrough style. We will be hopefully preparing ourselves very well for the Primo event. I doubt we will have any more information about any of the updates before then. I think that they are going to announce on Monday or Tuesday a lot of this space stuff officially. I think Tuesday is when they are planning to push out the what are they called? The paperwork about the updates that they send out ahead of time. Oh my goodness, why am I blanking on this? We wrote about it before. But yeah, the PDFs that they put together to talk about the updates. I think they're going to be bringing that out on Monday or Tuesday of this coming week. So look forward to it. Should be pretty good. Until tomorrow, guys, I'm going to let y'all go. It's very, very rainy here. So I got to get up and exercise in the house. And I got to grab some breakfast. I'm starving. You guys, be good. And I'll see you on Sunday. Later, alligators.